how do you get the opinion of the people is the most common answer will be interviews. The quantitative data can be easily collected like markets, scientists, academics. So this is the primary data collection method, interviewing anybody or interviewing somebody about a product they have used. It will cost you some time as well as money. How do you minimize this? Hello students, welcome to the next session of Cloud Computing. I am Dr. Soumyashree from Department of Computer Science from Vidhyaashram First Grade College. Let's start this session with the data collection methods. In the last session, I told you about the qualitative form of data collection, isn't it? What are the things you need to consider while collecting a qualitative type of data? Today, in this session, let's learn about the quantitative data and the data collection tools, how you can collect the data, the quantitative data in the big data context. All right, let's start this session. The first thing you need to know about is in this session is the quantitative type of data. As you know, quantitative type is data that can be counted, isn't it? Quantity can be found. The quantitative data can be easily collected like markets, scientists, academics and others may start the study of a subject or a material or a product with a predetermined hypothesis. So there will be questionnaires, there will be reviews that can be given by the customers or the persons involved in research about a product, how it feels, what is the cost, all those things. There will be predetermined hypothesis that can be implemented to get a quantitative type of data. But the research often begins with the collection of the data. We always, whatever research you take, what is the first thing you are going to do is get the quantitative type of data, not the qualitative type. So most researchers or most research emphasizes on only the quantitative type of data. Okay. Initially, the collected data is unstructured. There will be unstructured type of data. There will be various facts and figures may or may not have a context. So you may have collected a data. Some data may come to a use while getting a report for the research. But whereas some data you may find it useless with the context of collecting the report for a particular intention. Okay, a researcher's job is to make the sense of this data. What kind of data I need? What kind of quantity I need? So how much air conditioners have been proved or how much air conditioners have been purchased is important. How many air conditioners are returned may also be important to get the profit, isn't it? How many salesperson were there to sell an air conditioner? It is not important. Even though it is a quantitative data, that means how many persons are involved in selling a air conditioner or reaching an air conditioner from shop to the house. So how many persons are involved? These are, even though they are quantitative, they are not useful, isn't it? We don't need that such kind of data. Now, you need to decide, if you are a researcher, you need to decide what are the data that are needed for the context. Okay. It is to make the sense of this data, and the choice of data collection method often helps how you are going to collect the data. The quantitative data collection methods are more popular because they are straightforward when compared to the qualitative, because quality parameter may change with the product, but quantitative parameters will usually remain the same for any kind of product or for any kind of market. They are straightforward and simple and they are predetermined. So the quantitative data collection method is more popular than the qualitative data collection. Using these several methods of quantitative data collection like interviews and other things, researchers ask questions to collect the sets of facts and figures. They'll give you facts and figures with the help of the quantitative data methods. The quantitative data is measurable and expressed usually in numeric form. For qualitative data, you don't have a particular format. It must be like this only. But quantitative has a format. How does you have to represent these numerical values? Okay, let's learn about the different data collection tools that we use in quantitative data collection. Okay, the first thing method usually we do is the interviews. If you asked someone completely unaware of data analysis, how to best collect information from people? If you ask anybody, how do you collect the information or feedback from the people? How do you get the opinion of the people? Is the most common answer will be interviews. Asking questions to the customers is the most common method. Almost anyone can come up with a list of questions. If you ask somebody to set a list of questions to ask a customer about the quantitative collection of the data, anyone can come up with the set of questions, but the key to efficient interview is knowing what to ask, what you need to ask. You need to get a feedback about the air conditioner. What are the questions you need to ask? That is important. Like, how is the capacity of the conditioner? How it works, whether it is cooling or not, whether you are feeling cool or not, whether it is producing too much sound, too much noise or what, or whether you are feeling good about the air conditioner or not. All these things are the type of questions you may ask to know about the feedback about a particular product. Instead of that, if you go on asking how does the AC looks, whether the color of the air conditioner is satisfactory or not, these are all not the questions that need to be asked to get the quantitative data about a product, isn't it? So that is what is important in interview is to know what to ask and what not to ask. Okay, the efficiency in interviewing is crucial. Anyone cannot become a good interviewer. Okay, only few people will know what to ask and what we should not ask. Okay, there will be a thin boundary between what I can ask and what I cannot ask as an interviewer. Okay, so the efficiency of interviewing is crucial because all the primary data collection methods, usually the data collection methods, in-person interviewing can be the most expensive. Okay, so this is the primary data collection method, interviewing anybody or interviewing somebody about a product they have used. Give a product to them, give some days, say 10 or 12 days, and go back once again to them and ask about how you feel about this product, what are the benefits you got, what are the problems you got. This is the most common method of collecting the data. Okay, if you don't know about the interview methods and what you have to ask, the interview can become a failure. Okay, so this will become most expensive when you don't know what is the proper method of getting the data from the customers through the interview. Okay, there are ways to limit the cost of interviews. How you can minimize the cost of interviews is conducting them over the phone, calling them and asking whether you are satisfied or not, or through a web chat interface. Today, everything is available in WhatsApp. You can chat with them in the WhatsApp itself about getting the feedback, isn't it? So you can minimize the cost without going to their place or calling them to your place will not work for the customer. So you have to go to their place and inquire about the product. It will cost you some time as well as money. How do you minimize this? By contacting them through phone or online chats, isn't it? But sometimes an in-person interview can be worth the cost. Sometimes if you go to their place and ask questions about the product they are using, you may get better insight about the product. Okay, as the interviewer can tailor follow-up questions. Questions may be changed. You can have follow-up questions. One question is asked, they give you an answer. Based on an answer, you can add additional questions. You can ask additional questions on those answers. So you can get more and more information for crucial products and crucial customers. So you can go to their place and take their interview, get a real-time exchange of the opinions about the product, isn't it? Along with that, interviews also allow for open-ended question. They can ask you a question about why it is happening like this, or you can also ask the question whether you are satisfied or not, why you are feeling not satisfied, or what are the things you need to improvise. Compared to other primary data collection methods such as surveys, conducting the survey or gathering certain group of people and randomly asking the questions, interviews are more customizable and responsive. Interviews are for individual interaction. So they'll get better interaction with the customers. Instead of surveying a large group of people, the personal interviews are giving better introspection, better views about the used products. Okay, so this is about the interviews. Next type of tool you can use is the observation. As we have told in the qualitative, observation is the thing you need to know. Observation involves collecting information. You are going to collect the information without asking questions. You are not going to ask anything. This method is more subjective as it requires the researcher or the observer to add their judgment to the data. I'll launch a product and I'll sit in a corner and observe what people are reacting to their product. What usually the shops will do is, if you have an electronic shop, what they'll do is they'll switch on all the televisions in the shop and go on observing how does the customer feel about the televisions they are looking at. Instead of telling these are the features, you can buy this, buy that, they'll leave to the customers what they want to select. So they can go on viewing each and every product, and when they feel contented, they'll come to us by themselves and ask what are the details of this product, isn't it? So observation is more subjective as it requires the researchers to add their judgment to the data. By continuously viewing the same product, we can feel that, oh, this is not good. We can improvise it more. So there will be observations from as a third party, as a customer, as well as an owner of the product. You can view or you can observe the product with both the perspective or with both the context. Okay. But in some circumstances, the risk of bias is minimal. Sometimes in interviews, somebody may have influenced the customer to change their opinion. But in observation, as they don't know you are observing, they will be natural and they'll give you true opinion about a product. Okay. For example, if a study involves the number of people in a restaurant at a given time, unless the observer counts incorrectly, the data should be reasonably reliable. At this time, how many customers will come? Or at the lunch time or in the evening, how many customers we are getting to our hotel? So you can get the quantitative data, isn't it? Variables that require the observer to make distinctions, like how many people have come, what are the most demanding food in the hotel. So those quantitative data can be easily collected by observing, isn't it? Such as how many millennials visit a restaurant, whether the middle class are visiting our hotels, or elite group are visiting our hotels, or the lower middle class are visiting our hotel. You can get the type of persons your restaurant is visiting in a given period can introduce potential problems. So you can have various kinds of people. So you have to observe what kind of people are coming to our hotel at what kind of or at what time. Okay. In general, observation can determine the dynamics of a situation. What are the different perspectives for a particular situation or particular context, which generally cannot be measured through other type of data collection. Okay. So the observation also can be combined with additional information such as video, playing video about our kitchens, about our facilities, providing. All these things can be done along with the observation. The next thing is documents and records. Collecting the documents and the records. Sometimes you can collect a considerable amount of data without asking anyone anything. You are not going to observe, you are not going to ask anything to anybody. Instead, you are collecting the data through the documents. Okay? And record-based research uses existing data for a study, like knowing whether the plane company, you have the aviation company, you have 10 jets that are used in international flights you have in your air company, that is the aviation company. You need not to ask questions about how your service is to the commuters or how it is feeling to the commuters, all those things. You can check the documents for a particular period. In this 3 months, how many passengers were there? What are the number of tickets we have issued to the customers? Who are the customers who came back once again to our company, once again to our flight? Who are those customers? What is the percentage of customers getting back to our planes, getting back to our flights? We can collect those with the help of the documents, isn't it? Like attendance record. To know about the punctuality of an employee, you can observe the attendance records. Meeting minutes, how the work has done by a particular manager, to know about the performance of a manager. And financial records, these are the most crucial records that we collect, are just a few examples of this type of research. You can collect the data through the documents also. Using the documents and records can be efficient and inexpensive because you are predominantly using research that has already been completed. Your task is just to analyze it and come to a conclusion. You need not to collect. It is already collected. Your job is to analyze it and coming to a conclusion. Okay? Since the researcher has less control over the documents, that means somebody has collected the documents. The documents and records can be incomplete data source. Since data are collected by somebody else, we may not get the data which we are actually expecting. Okay, this is one of the disadvantage of the documents and the records. Next is the focus groups. So focus group is a combination of different methods, that is interviewing, surveying and observing. You are combining all the three methods. A focus group is a data collection method where it involves several individuals. There will be several individuals which form a group who have something in common. They may be having something in common and they belong to the group, like group of students, group of employees of a particular organization, group of housewives, or group of managers, or group of scavengers, or group of anybody who have any one thing in common. They form to make a group, and we are doing the interviewing, surveying, or observing on that set of group, okay, on that set of people. The purpose of a focus group is to add a collective element to individual data collection. Even though they are in group, we are going to do the individual data collection, or data collection interviewing individual persons in the group, okay. The focus group study can ask participants, to watch a presentation, maybe a presentation like addressing to the customers in an organization. For example, they discuss the content before answering survey or interview style questions, like showing a video or presentation, or listening to an audio about a product, or showing some demo before answering the people, before asking questions to the people, before they answer anything about the product. First, what we'll do is we'll show a presentation like a demo or a PowerPoint presentation, or somebody else telling about the product, say about a car, telling about the new model of a car, showing the capacity of the car, extra features of the car in a document. So all these things you can do to introduce your project or product to the set of group, so that they can query or they can answer to your queries. Okay. The focus groups often use open-ended questions. So there will be open-ended questions such as, how did you feel about the presentation? How was the presentation? How was the product? Or what did you like best about our product? The focus group moderator, or ones who is controlling this group, can ask the group to think about the product and share their experience and opinion, rather than forward it to the future, expecting to use their product and tell the opinion. They can tell their opinion at the place itself by looking at the presentation, how you feel, whether you are feeling to buy this product or not. Like that, questions can be asked to the focus group. So the open-ended questions, they help the researchers in a particular state of mind. There will be state of mind plays an important role, which eliminates the external influence by somebody else. So you are asking the questions at the same place at the same time. So there will be no external influence over the person before telling his free end opinion about a product. Okay. The next thing is oral histories. What is this oral histories about is, sometimes an oral history might sound like an interview, like somebody telling their feedback over a product. Both data collection methods involve asking questions. Interview and oral histories both involve asking the questions. Then what is the difference between these two is, oral history is defined as the recording, preservation and interpretation of historical information, okay, based on the opinions and personal experiences. The best example is feedback you give on a product in the online shopping sites. Okay, so they are oral histories. So you have given your opinion about a product in the feedback section. So they are the opinions and personal experience of a person which was recorded. History, it was already recorded. Now you are using this to come to a conclusion about the product. When you want to purchase a new product, what you will do usually? You will go on get into the feedback of the customers who have already used it isn't it? The feedback, reviews about a product. So that is the oral history based on the opinions and personal experience of people who were involved in the event. That is what I said. The feedback of the people, review of the people about a certain product gives the new customer an insight of how the product may be. How you can you purchase that product or not? What are the strengths or what are the advantages of using that product? What are the disadvantages? And can you get the same product in a better price, or you may get high quality product in the same price? All these reviews can be obtained by getting into the oral histories about a product or a project. Okay. Along with that, unlike interviews and surveys, the oral histories are linked to single phenomenon. It is about a single product. For example, researchers may be interested in studying the effect of flood on a particular community, how it has affected that particular community. Like if it is flood, how it has affected the fishermen, how it has affected the shop owners who kept their shop near to ocean or near the ocean shore. So how they were affected by the flood. All these things will be a point of study which were collected or which are in the type of a oral history. Okay. Oral history can give a light on exactly what transpired, what is the actual thing you need to know. It's the holistic approach to evaluation that uses the different variety of techniques like interviewing, documenting records, collecting the records, all those things. As in interviewing, the researchers can carry different parameters of asking the questions. Okay. So a confounding variable is an extra unintended variable that can skew your results by introducing the bias, confusions about a product. Okay. The classic example is the correlation between the murder rates and ice cream sales. How they are related? Murder rates and ice cream sales. Both figures have at one time or another risen together. They are researched together. The murder rate and the ice cream sales. An unscientific conclusion may be that more people buy ice cream, the higher the occurrence of the murder. So this is a wrong conclusion which were collected. The collection of the information has happened in different situation but at the same time. But somebody who has researched, if somebody is there who has researched on both the topics, can conclude that there may, if more ice creams are bought, there may be a rise in murder rate. What happens is, it affects the sale of the ice cream, isn't it? So, however, there is a third possibility. What is the possibility? That an additional variable affects both of these occurrences. Okay. In this example, above example, the other variable is the weather. What is the now conclusion? When you have added another parameter weather, the warmer weather is a confusing variable or confounding variable to both murder rates and ice cream sales. Some may conclude that in warmer weather, murder rate increases and sale of ice cream also increases. Like that, they may add, or in warmer weather, as the demand for the ice cream increases, murder rate increases. So there may be different opinions drawn on the same situation or different situation drawn at the same time. Okay. The last thing is the questionnaires and surveys. So it looks like interviews. Questionnaires and surveys can be used to ask questions that have closed-ended answers. They are not open-ended. That means you cannot extend the questions. They are close-ended. If you want this, okay, how is this? What is the color? Whether you are satisfied? You can you can't extend the questions further. So they are closed-ended answers. Data gathered from questionnaires and surveys can be analyzed in many different ways, and they can be used in many different ways by different organizations. We can assign the numerical values to the data to speed up the analysis. So you can even give the numerical values based on what are the number of employees in this particular area. How is the level of education of girls in this particular area? When there is a assumption that the girls are not being educated in this particular area, now we can assign the numerical values. What is the percentage of the girls getting educated in this 2020 or 2021? How many girls crossed the higher secondary school? How many have crossed the SSLC? All these numerical values can be added for the analysis or the survey and the questionnaires. This can be useful if you are collecting a large amount of data from larger set of population. One is targeted group, another one is survey and questionnaires asked to larger community, for a community in a city or community in a village or in a taluka level, like that. You can have large population asking the different questions and making the surveys about it. To be meaningful for the questionnaires and surveys, they need to be carefully planned. You have to first plan the questionnaires and how you are going to survey the people. You have to approach the right people to get a right data for the survey. Okay. Unlike an interview where a researchers can react to the direction of respondents' answer, a poorly designed questionnaire will lead the study with unwanted data. You may end up, after the survey, after the questionnaire, you may end up with only unwanted data or less required data has been collected. While surveys are less expensive than interviews, they won't be valuable if they aren't handled and collected correctly. You have to properly collect the data from right kind of people. Okay. Along with that, surveys can be conducted as interviews. So it is interview is included in the survey. Okay. Without survey, without interview, you can't come to a conclusion in the survey. Okay. So you will conduct the survey using the written form, the written questionnaires. There will be online forms today to effectively conduct the surveys in less time and less expense. Unlike written surveys, the questions presented in online forms can change according to how someone responds. The question may be changed according to how they are answered, because if you have a questions like about the survey about the housewives, students and the employees in a house, if you tick for employee, the questions for employee may be different. The questions for a housewife may be different. Questions for a student may be different. You may get different questions based on the certain response of the respondent. Okay. So modern collection can be done over the mobile devices. You can collect the surveys or you can make the surveys in the mobile itself, isn't it? So one concern when gathering the data electronically is in the European example is European Union, is the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation. So there will be some norms and regulations that will be levied on the researchers that they can't collect the private data or the data that can breach the privacy of a person cannot be asked in the surveys or the researchers. So this new regulations and acts provides the privacy protection to the residents and citizens of European Union, or almost every country has the laws and regulations that any survey or any data collection should not get into the private data, and even though they are willing to give the private data, you should not release that private data, you can't make that private data public. So if you make that public, it will be violation of the Privacy Protection Act, which was enforced by most of the countries. Okay, so this is about the data collection methods that can be implemented in the data collection. All right. Thank you.